7 from the Republic/Duchy of Florence, and 7 others from the Kingdom of Italy/the modern Italian Republic. Popes, the head of the Holy See, ruler of the Vatican and leader of the Catholic Church. Throughout history, since the establishment of Catholicism, there's been one man at a time in charge of Catholicism, save a couple situations where there were 2 conflicting popes, and now that there is one retired pope and one in office. But usually, the papacy is a lifelong position, and it is only when the current pope dies that the College of Cardinals gathers and elects a new one. The current pope, Pope Francis, is from Argentina, but this is a rare, if not a one-of-a-kind occasion of a pope not being of European origin, as throughout history that has been the norm. The pope that preceded Pope Francis, the one now retired, Pope Benedict XVI, was German. His predecessor, Pope John Paul II, was Polish, and his predecessor, John Paul I, was Italian. As you could see on the thumbnail of the video, many, in fact most of the popes throughout time have been Italian. The difference is so large that the graph on the thumbnail couldn't even beat the scale. But there's one key detail that we need to know about these numbers before we learn where each pope has been from. Those 216 or 217 Italian popes weren't all from Italy, the country. They were from the territory where Italy now exists. And throughout time, many of the popes that are now associated with a specific nationality are simply from that specific region. For example, Portugal is pointed as having 2 popes, when in fact they only had 1, with the other having been from the Lusitania province of the Roman Empire, where Portugal now is, but the country didn't exist at the time. The same goes for the 3 African popes that existed. They were in fact from Africa, but Roman Empire Africa. So now that we've understood this detail, let's get into it. Where have all the popes been from? Before we go case by case, here is a table that summarizes all of it. In case you don't want to watch the entire video, we can instantly see the gigantic difference between the Italian peninsula and all other locations. So let's understand why this is the case. Let's start with the ones that were from the Roman Empire along those of the Byzantine Empire, which continued after the collapse of the western part of the Roman Empire. We can do this alphabetically by location of origin of the pope. Remember, this isn't chronological order of when each pope was in office. The Africa province of the Roman Empire has had 3 popes: Pope Victor, Pope Miltiades, and Pope Gelasius, all 3 from a long time ago and from the Roman African province, which corresponds to current-day Tunisia, Libya, and also a little bit of Algeria, or at least the coastal regions of these countries. This was actually one of the wealthiest provinces in the western part of the Roman Empire, second only to Italia itself. Another Roman province that had 2 popes was Dalmatia, which is today equivalent to Croatia. These were Pope Caius, Pope John IV, who at the time was from the Byzantine Empire and no longer the full Roman Empire, and then we have the Greek popes, which existed in the same condition as those from Dalmatia, Croatia, some being from the Roman Empire and others from the Byzantine. These were Pope Telesphorus, Hyginus, Eleuterus, Anterus, Sixtus II, Dionysius, Zosimus, John VI, and Pope John VII. A great number of popes, not only from the Roman Empire, but also the entire history of the papacy, have been from Roman and Byzantine Italy. 35 from Roman Italy and 26 from Byzantine Italy. I won't read all of their names because that's a little pointless, but you can see them here on screen. A total of 61 popes, over 20% of the current total of people that have been in charge of the Catholic Church. And if we count all the ones from the Roman and Byzantine empires altogether, they account for 91 popes, 34% of the total number. Additional Roman and Byzantine papacies were from Roman Galilee and the Udui province in the Middle East, St. Peter, the first pope, Pope Evaristus, and Pope Theodore I, a native of Jerusalem. The Middle East also had other popes from Roman and Byzantine Syria, Pope Anicetus, John V, Caesinius, Constantine, and Gregory III. I think a few of these names are repeated, so let me know in the comments if there's any incongruency. And finally, 2 additional Roman popes, Pope Damasus I from Lusitania and Pope Conon from Sicily. As we see the dates corresponding to each pope, we understand that their ruling years weren't that many. Life expectancy used to be much smaller, and the stability of the church and political context of the Holy See wasn't as stable as it is now, so many popes are likely to have been killed by their opposition. This somewhat justifies the number of popes that existed during the Roman Empire. In the complete history of the papacy, 29 popes are seen as martyrs, having suffered very aggressive deaths, 7 have been confirmed as being murdered, and 6 others are suspected of having been so as well. So not a great job to have had in the past. And up to this point we can understand that despite the popes being from different areas of the Roman Empire, they were in fact Roman. They may have had some features of their own ethnicity or culture, but they belonged to the same country or empire, with the concept of nationality only having arisen a little during the Middle Ages. So now let's move further ahead in history to the time when countries as we know them today were already established, and take a look at which countries have in fact had a pope. All of these modern popes have been from Europe, save the current one, which really shows the dominance the European nations have had in the control of the Catholic Church, despite the fact that today there are just as many, if not more, Catholic people in America, Africa, or Asia as there are in Europe, a sign that perhaps the next pope will be African or Asian. Just like the Italian province was dominant in the origins of popes within the Roman Empire, the same happens again with Europe and Italy, or at least the Italian territory. 114 of all popes have been from the Italian Papal States, 42% of the total number. 3 others were from Italian territory within the Holy Roman Empire, 3 were from the Republic of Genoa, Pope Innocent IV, Pope Hadrian V, and Pope Innocent VII, 3 more from the Republic of Venice, 7 from the Republic/Duchy of Florence, and 7 others from the Kingdom of Italy/the modern Italian Republic, and 7 more from the Italian Ostrogothic Kingdom. In total, throughout all history, there have been 217 popes from what is now the territory of Italy, 81% of the total of popes that have ever been in office. This really goes to show the importance and control that the Roman Empire and the Papal States have had in the ruling of the Catholic Church worldwide. So after this ridiculous Italian dominance of the papacy, which other countries have in fact had their own popes? Like we saw, Argentina has one, the current Pope Francis. England had one pope, Adrian IV. French is the most common non-Italian papal ancestry. 17 popes have had French origin, 7 of which during the Avignon papacy, where the French kingdom essentially held a pope hostage and then forced French popes to be elected. After the Avignon papacy ended and the pope returned to Rome, no other French person has been elected pope. Maybe Rome still holds a grudge after all this time. After Italian and French popes, the most common origin is the Holy Roman Empire. Although this empire also encompassed many territories and places, there are now their specific countries. The Netherlands, for instance, had one pope within the HRE, Pope Adrian VI, from the Bishopric of Utrecht, which was a part of the empire. 5 other popes came from duchies, kingdoms, or counties within the Holy Roman Empire, like one from the Duchy of Swabia, another from the Duchy of Lorraine, one from the Kingdom of Burgundy, and another from the Kingdom of Arles. Modern Germany itself only had one pope, the current retired pope, Benedict XVI, and all the other German popes were from the Holy Roman Empire as well. Gregory V, Clement II, Damasus II, and Victor II. Poland had one pope, John Paul II, and Portugal had one as well, Pope John XXI. And in the Spanish territory today, the Kingdom of Valencia had 2 popes, Pope Calixtus III and Pope Alexander VI. So, that is where each pope has been from, what areas of the Roman and Byzantine Empire they have been from, which territories they came from despite being a part of other republics, duchies, or kingdoms corresponding to modern nations, and which specific countries, in the more modern sense of the word, popes have effectively been from. Understanding the utter dominance that Italy has had in the papacy throughout history, and how the same has also been the case for Europe in general. Although with the current Argentinian Pope Francis and the landscape of Catholicism throughout the world, that might begin to change. Thanks so much for watching this video, subscribe if you want, and I will see you next time for more general knowledge.